Hey, how are you guys? Yeah, so that's great. I'm glad you guys are still turning up. So that's fantastic. And I can see that there's a bunch of you forging forward in the quests. That's fantastic as well. Um, I want you to participate more in the forums. And I think I mentioned this to the cs2a students yesterday. Was it yesterday? No, on Thursday. But I think starting from next quarter to A, B, and C, I'm going to place Reddit off limits, meaning past Reddit posts are off limits. So they don't count if you look up a solution there. And so essentially, I'm going to rework the entire grading system so that, and even reduce the amount contributed by quests, more for maybe introduce a couple, well, not more quizzes maybe, but, weight the exams more maybe. Because that way, if I restrict the participation only to your current classmates, then the playing field will be level as far as my grading is concerned, because that's exactly the way in which the very first time 2B was offered with question, the students did it, right? And so, so we can't have a situation where we look at those past students and say, wow, those guys are great, Einstein's and so on and so forth. We should try and get to that level. And even if we don't say that out explicitly, we are essentially saying that by looking up their solutions, because they toiled for hours trying to write solutions to these mini quests and found these by talking to their classmates. That's fine. They just didn't look it up. And so and I think that and that's probably one of the reasons why I think that if someone just went on the website on the Reddit and said, yeah, well, I've done these quests, cool, no worries, I'm okay with the professor because I've done all the quests up to now. You guys want anything, ask me. And I was thinking why that kind of post does not elicit any responses from fellow students. And it may be because the fellow students don't see any evidence that this person actually did any work themselves and learned the concepts. Because solving a quest is like buying a solution. You can buy it anywhere. You can just open a reference text and get all the solutions. Yes, and that's why past subreddits are going to be off bounds. I think, and you'll have you'll have a lot more fun too. I can guarantee, right? Because looking at the past really does not help. Just focusing on what you have now, I think you'll have a lot more fun. Also, I noticed that some of you have marched on to the higher numbered quests, like 6. After I think 4 is a little challenging for most of you, because it deals not only with just straight pointers, but it also deals with pointers in a way that you cannot look past recursion, right? If you think that I can conquer the world without recursion, yes, you can, but it's just going to be a whole lot harder. And so starting quest 4. Until then, you can just get by, even Hanoi, right? And you can do it iteratively if you want, and it'll be just as succinct. But with trees, you'll find even graphs, right? Sometimes even graph solutions you can do without recursion. Trees are especially hard. Some of the algorithms, some of the things that we want to do with trees. The reason being that with trees, we are the same thing has to be repeated at every single node. Maybe, I don't know. It's just pulling. We shouldn't be talking about trees anyway. I shouldn't be taking up the airwaves talking about trees, because that's for later. It's not even in the midterm, so let's not worry about it. So the way where I was going with that was that, yes, okay, quest 4 is going to be challenging for most of you, but don't think that oh my gosh, I'm getting bowled over by quest 4. How am I going to get past the remaining 5 quests? No, actually no, right? Quest 4 is you can talk to the people who've done it. Quest 4 is much harder than even the ones that follow it. And yes, thank you, Jason. Yes, that is true. And congratulations. I mean, I could see every step of Jason's perseverance. That's why I'm so pleased with Jason's progress. Because even though other people might be progressing too, I like the way that Jason is progressing because he is actually visible. He's making it clear what he's looking at and what he's working on at any moment in time and the struggles he's facing. And so I very much like that. Not just me, I think any instructor that will have a good fortune of having you in future will also like that. Even managers. Yesterday, I was guiding someone through a software project, and it's a slightly experienced person, and a very, very bright person. Okay, so you can assume that they can just ace through all the 27 quests, and they're doing something else. They've gone ahead and graduated and something else, and independently, and I was guiding them with it. And so there was one, a couple of features that needed to be implemented. But the thing is, I told them that several days ago, and my expectation was that it's going to take a couple of hours. And the person is usually very prompt, and they get back to me. But this time they didn't get back to me for 3 days, and I didn't want to bother them. And so yeah, okay, maybe they've got personal life issues, right? Because you can never tell what's going on this time of the year, right? This time, right? So I just said, let them get back to me. And at the end of 3 days, I hear back saying, they've done something far more sophisticated than what is required. And the problem is not that the problem there with the manager and the employee is that that kind of sophistication may be totally uncalled for by the customers, right? Maybe 1% of the geek population might actually like it, like, beautifying a page ad nauseum or beyond functionality, or I don't know. So there are certain things that a manager has intuition for because they've been in the field for longer than you have. And so this is one of the things that will make you also a very sought after employee, right? And I think of all the people that I've hired and worked with, these are the people that I like working with, is regardless of whether they're making brilliant strides ahead, by leaps and bounds. I like engineers who are very close in step with me, right? Saying, all right, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. Not like bugging me or something, right? But critical decisions. Like if you think that something is going to take 3 days instead of 3 hours, that is definitely worth a check with the manager if you're working on something critical, right? With a deliverable that's due on a particular day, that the manager is going to be, his ass is on the line. Yes, so it's helpful, and that is why, because I've had employees who are rockstar employees, but they're highly unpredictable, and so I can't resource them into any project, not even for managing other engineers. Yes, because they don't want to manage anyone. They just want to go on and do their own stuff. And when you get these, trickle feed things from them, sometimes they're really cool and good. Okay, so you got to, suffer them as overhead, necessary evil in many ways. But why be a necessary evil, right? When you can actually be, very sought after. So that's one of the traits that I think I can share in my experience of having managed people all the way. Right. That's one of the things that I absolutely loved about all of my, really awesome employees, is that they were very responsive and get back. And so the reason it's important is because I had to tell this student, not the student, and this person I was advising, that this is really cool. But, if you had checked with me 3 days ago, you would have saved yourself all of that work, because that is never ever going to be seen by anyone. Nobody really is looking, unless someone who's looking at a product from, they're so attached to it that they want to polish it beyond noticeable difference. Yeah. So nobody's going to see it. And unfortunately, for young engineers, especially solo engineers, right? Not team workers. Team workers, that's fine, because they'll be in touch and you can, hope for an average of some kind. But those who want to strike it big, right? Go solo, right? And strike gold and keep all the gold yourself. That is something you have to watch out for. And if you don't get constant feedback from your users, or a good proxy for the users, for which you're going to say, be my co-founder product developer, or product head of product, whatever it is, right? All you need to be is not involved in the technology. Just tell me what they want, and what I'm doing, what I think is cool, is going to be useful to you or not, right? So that kind of thing. So that is where I'm going. I'm sorry, Jason. Thank you so much. Where I was going with that is, 5. Question before is hard, But once you cross quest 4, it'll take you a lot of sweat to cross quest 4, but it's going to be totally worth it. You know, as the people who've done it, 5 and 6 are goody quests. Okay, you'll actually feel good, and they're going to be easy. 5 and good. 6, you'll have a rewarding experience with 5 and 6, not so much of a frustrating experience. 7, I think, will introduce some new material. Okay, so week 7. By the time you're in week 7, you've passed. Okay, quest number 7, you can assume that you have passed 2B. You should not go and enroll in my 2C anyway, or any 2C, right? If you pass 2B, you cannot go on in 2C. But if you finish quest 6, you're past 2B. Okay, so I'll give you a pass. But if you're in quest 7, it stops being like easy. It's very slight challenges, not as much as 4. Okay, I think quest 4 is the hardest. Okay, quest 8 is probably the hardest. Okay, so but if you get to quest 8 and you ace quest 8, you're like totally set up, right, for 2C. No matter who teaches it in this whole world. Okay, so you can totally ace it. Well, not ace it, but you're set up for it. And so I think, once you get past 4, you're in very good shape for in the higher grade, actually. So I think when you get to quest 8, when you start working on quest 8 itself, you're probably in B territory already. So, even B plus maybe. So, that's if the grade and all is important to you. You got to complete all of them. Okay, you got to complete all of them to move on to 2C. Or at least get credit from it. You got to complete all of them in 2C anyway, after you enroll in my 2C. So you might as well complete them now. So anyways, where I was going with all that was that I see some posts by people in the advanced quests, right? I saw, I don't know, maybe Ronaldo, I don't know, Mandar, they posted about quest 6 maybe. I don't know. Are there only 2 people? I know others have also completed quest 6. Okay, I can see the logs that other people have completed, but I don't know. So many people have completed quest, but they're just silent until, I need something to say in week 7, week 8, right? I'm going to save it up until week 10, right? So don't do that. You'll have lots and lots of stuff. Every week you'll find new stuff to say, as long as you keep saying it, right? If you keep saving it, then, you'll stop saving after your, treasure box becomes full. So just keep. So anyway. So I don't want to. There are very interesting posts. Okay, but the pity is that, or even someone else posted a very nice test suite, and very few people commented on it, and Ronaldo was the only one who picked up. And so I think starting from next quarter, a huge part of the grade is just going to be determined by a demonstration of your knowledge of the concepts, because tests and everything else, even the quest to some extent, is basically nailing down your concepts. But the demonstration that you know your concepts is going to come from how you help your fellow classmates. And if no fellow classmate asks a question, then you're basically sinking each other's boats. Okay, so you cannot look up the past subreddits. You have to ask a question in the forums, and someone else has to help you out, and with what they've learned. And that way, I will have a much better idea of how the class is progressing and what they need. How can I keep pushing them all together, right? Instead of leaving a few stragglers behind and I have to run back and forth. Okay, I hate that. And I don't want to go. And if I leave them behind, and it's a very bad taste. Okay, so we all need to be going to the end together.
Did I hear you say that a huge portion of our grade next semester is going to be based on communication between students? I think I'll make 50. Okay, I'll say thank you, Nate. All right, right now I'm just thinking maybe somewhere between 50 and 60 for the quests. Okay, right now it's 60% for your quests. Yes or no? Your quest contributes 60% of your total grade. Yes.
I believe so.
So yes. I'm thinking I reduce that, right? Maybe 55 or even 50, because until I'm convinced that people are doing the quest and still learning from it too. Because right now I don't have any evidence that you guys are learning, right? And some of you I can see are learning because you're posting interesting things, but most of you just say I aced it, right? I conquered and stuff like that, and nobody's asking you for help also, so you don't have an opportunity to demonstrate that you actually knew it. Instead of looking up the post, I implemented tip sheet number 7, and that's how I got the points. Yeah. So you said we might be sinking each other's boats next semester. We have to rely on answering other people's questions. Yeah, I think I'll set up a system where I've got enough data now I think I can set up a crawl over, maybe summer break. What is it? What is it? It is now, oh, gee, this is spring break, only 1 week. Okay, all right, so I'll do it manually. Okay, I'm going to do it manually in spring. But I think over summer, I'll just set up a system with input parameters, which will come from a bunch of different variables. One of them is going to be your active participation on Reddit, which basically means the number of questions you asked, and you know, the kinds, you know, I'll do some basic NLP on the text you posted too, so I can find some score. Okay, basically I'm going to feed it a whole bunch of parameters, and I'll look at the output, and that output is going to be somewhere between 0 and 1, which I'll scale to whatever participation or these things will be. Right, and I'll, you know, also eyeball it and check to make sure. All right, why did the system assign only 0.5 out of 1 to this student who has posted 1 post every single week? Then I can look at the system output and say, well, no, that it was the reason was because that post, in comparison to all the other posts that I have seen, because, you know, as humans we can only remember a little, right? With the system, it can remember a whole lot of shit. Right, and so it will, I think, it'll consider all those, and then, you know, I look at the final output. It's not like I have a 5,000 students. I look at the outputs and say, well, you know, that's the reason. So if some of the student comes back to me and says, why did I only get 50% of my thing, I can say, well, you know what, the system graded this, and you know, here's an example of, you know, some posts, not from your quarter. It could be from any quarter that would have been 100%. So I'd have a lot of examples that would be generated by the system, not picked by me, right? And so in comparison to these, that's the reason, or something like that. I don't know. You know, I think I don't want to waste any more of your time, right? But that's I told you where I'm coming from, right? Other than a few of you, I'm not seeing a whole lot of participation. Okay, so and it's I want you to just reassure your own future selves, okay? Because what are the chances? Maybe, you know, 50 years later, yeah, oh, did I look up the solutions or did I actually come up with them myself? I don't know, right? So just give yourself a lot of cues like this, you know, for yourself when you read, and so be more active and participatory. And like I said, it doesn't have to be on Reddit, okay? If you feel, just even if it's on your company blog or, you know, Stack Overflow, post a link, all right? So one of us will check it out and we'll comment on it, and essentially, whatever you do to jazz people up to you know, pursue computer science, right? And even they don't have to enroll in my course. You know that anyone can Quest. So jazz people up, and it doesn't have to be my course, right? They could do so many things. There are, you know, 100 million different websites on the web, you know, that give you solid computer science education. And so I think the more of us that know the details of this, the stronger the future community will be towards building, you know, really solid infrastructure, with you know, with all the machine learning and all that stuff that's coming in. I think it's very important that we all know what's going on, because, you know, I've seen a lot of engineers who want to be data engineers and machine learning engineers, and at the word go. And when they enroll in, you know, CS major, they say, what do you want to be? I want a machine learning or data science. But the thing is, I would never, ever hire a machine learning scientist or a data engineer who was not already completely in their sleep conversant with the big O notation or program complexities. And the reason I say that is because in computer science, you can do any damn thing inefficiently. Okay, you just throw things together and it'll work. You know, you can throw stones together and it's a cave. You can, you know, go and it'll shelter you from heat and rain. Yes. So what we want to be is not just some random shitty builder who just throws things together and it's inefficient. What computer science teaches is, you know, how can you do the same thing with the least amount of effort and cost? And that's where computer science is. And so there are a lot of programmers who don't know about Big O, who don't have a fundamental feel, an intuition about program complexity, the economy of CPU cycles, right? Or storage. They don't have this, but they get stuff done, right? And most people don't care, because, you know, if it's $1 billion company and you just need to get stuff done, you don't care about the quality, it's not core service. Yeah, I'll say, yeah, get it done, because, you know, for the next 5 years I'm going to run it, and after that I'll shut it down. Yeah, It's practical, yes, because nobody's going to see it. It's not going to be branded by you. So there's a whole lot of programs like that. I mean, it's easy to, find a job and do that kind of thing. But the thing is, if you if someone wants to get into machine learning, that is not sufficient, right? You can't look at the run-of-the-mill programmer and say, well, you know what, they're making a lot of money and I want to go do machine learning, without having a solid intuition of what this is. And the reason I say that is because with here, I don't know if I mentioned this to you, or you have to correct me. Can I impose on you to correct me if I've already told this to you before? Because now I'm also teaching 2A via Zoom, just like this. I'm sitting here and talking to 2A students. I don't know if I told this to them or you, right? If it feels, or even if you don't want to hear it, just let me know. Now I've forgotten what the hell I wanted to say. Yeah, okay, machine learning, okay. The problem with 2A and so on. So with 2A, basic 2A, starting out, control structures. And so a lot of the bugs people face, and correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of the bugs people face, if you already don't know programming, in the first few blue quests, is syntax errors, reading thrown at you by the compiler and the linker. Yes or no? Yes. So, you do stuff and the compiler just, so imagine, okay? And people are so frustrated by that. And I always think, that's like youngsters being frustrated at, dropping a candy on the floor, right? If you're being frustrated by that, how are you going to deal with, losing a lover late in life, right? So it's like, all right. So you think that you're frustrated by these compiler errors, but you'll get over it. And very soon you just learn, either to live with the frustration or how to deal with it. So it's all automatic. You don't even devote your conscious worrying, consciousness to these things. It's gone. Yes. Okay. So later on, you encounter a different kind of bug. Okay. So these bugs never leave alone, right? So first, it's compiler bugs that even does not require human intelligence. Is this being recorded? Damn, it's not being recorded. Okay. So you know what? I got to make sure that these things are recorded because at least 2A I missed it. Yeah, I missed the
recording right now, Professor. It's being recorded.
It is it?
It is, like on the top left. I don't know if you have your Zoom.
Yeah, actually it does. For some reason my 2A didn't get recorded, and I thought this was also the same because I changed both meetings at the same time to record from cloud to local. Because if I record in the cloud, it's stitching it together differently. You don't see the whole gallery. You just see one small screen. Oops, oh, it's gone. Yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, machine learning. So what's going? Let me. Yeah, just science. All right. So so that's the kind of bug. So the next level of bug with CS is bugs that the compiler cannot catch. Until now, you didn't even need human intelligence or human worrying. Yeah. Imagine if you had to worry about compiler bugs, how much of a hell your life would be. Your compiler does so much for you and catches these things, right? And if you had to pore over your code and find out missing semicolons and missing, is that a desirable thing for you? No, right? So already the compiler has made your life so much easier, which assemblers, people coding in machine code didn't have. So you already have that luxury. The next stage is when the compiler says, well, you know what, I can't deal with these kinds of errors. These are syntactic errors. The syntactic errors I can catch, but the errors now you're making now, you've gone past me. It's like the genie of the little lamp. Now he says the genie of the big lamp is the errors that I cannot see. The compiler cannot see these errors, and these are logic errors. Okay, and you'll start encountering logic errors in the later part of CS2A. This is when you start dealing with, I think it's quest 7, 8, and 9 where you have to do a little bit of logic. Until then, there's not a great deal of logic, right? I think in 6 you have to generate some name for a pet or something like that. That's the only logic you have. But 8, 9, so you have more logic in there. So, but those kinds of errors are harder because you don't have the compiler looking out for you. Right? When you get to that point, again, you'll get frustrated because you say, well, you know what, I just thought I conquered all the syntax errors and now I'm getting these logic errors. And the worst thing here is that I can't even see the errors. There's no writing. Everything, the compiler says, okay, comes up and, I run it and it crashes. Okay, so those are going to be harder because there's an error in the logic. Okay, there's one more kind of error that's even harder than logic errors. Did we talk about this before?
No.
There are actually two more kinds of errors, okay? So, because where I was going was the third kind is at which you'll start facing increasingly in CS2C, right? Even in 2B, later on in 2B, starting from quest 4 and CS2B, you'll start facing these. These are when your syntax is correct and your logic is also correct. However, a spatial structure you're dealing with has a bug in it. Okay, so everything is correct. However, this maze that you cannot see has a loop in its 5 billionth room that if you enter unthinkingly, you'll never ever exit. Okay, so what kind of a system can guard against that kind of thing, that kind of error? Because we're not talking about syntactic errors, we're not talking about logical errors, but we're talking about structural errors. And structural errors are really, really hard. And so computer scientists say, we're not even going to go down that road. We're going to try our best not to make that happen at all. Because if you have a structural error, you're totally fucked at that point. Yeah, because there's nothing, you have to make sure that your logic is correct, and you have to make sure you create these little structures and visualize them in your head and slowly start growing them and make sure the growth doesn't have any, so basically starting out the DNA and basically whittling down survival of the fittest like that. You're gonna make sure that when you grow it, it's exactly like mathematical induction and recursion. Okay, so you have to make sure that you have your basis case working perfectly, and then you have to make sure there's only one way to get out of this, and that way is controlled by me. Right? So when you have those two, then you can build an infinitely sized structure in space, which you can control with 100% knowledge. So though you can avoid these structural errors by following these principles. And then there's one more. Yeah, okay. All right. This is the fourth kind of error, which I know it's actually just occurred to me this morning, was it? Yesterday, maybe. So I don't know if this is clear enough. And I haven't told this to anyone so far. I think the fourth kind of error, even harder to debug, okay? Even harder than structural errors. Does anybody want to take a guess as to what that might even be? I might be wrong, obviously, right? So but I think this is the hardest, okay? The fourth ring, right? We have 3 rings, this is the 4th ring, okay? Beyond Mordor, okay?
Guarding against end user input.
Sorry?
Guarding against end user input.
Okay, all right. So all right. That's a very good guess. Who said that, by the way?
Nathaniel.
Nathan?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's a very good thing. I wouldn't classify that as a bug that you need to fix. Yes, absolutely, right? Maybe that is a 5th dimension, actually. This is even beyond what I'm going to say, right? So it's important because when you've got everything done, you've got to put yourself in the user's shoes and run it and see, well, is it behaving as the user wants? If it's going to crash in my hands, that's a bug, like Nate exactly correctly pointed out. So that is a job, fortunately, not of engineer. Well, you say some part, but if you have a good product manager or a good manager, they'll take care of it. Okay, so they'll know all the weak points of your software. They will either test it to make sure it doesn't crash, or they will write documentation. And because they're going to be interfacing with the end user, right? They'll write documentation or build some guard against that by being invoked. Or they say, don't do it this way, right? It's undefined, whatever. So it's a good question. But the 4th kind of error that I was going for is actually a data error. Okay, and the reason I think this is actually rearing its ugly head right now is because there's so much machine learning and data engineering going on, is that if you have your structures correct, right? Because in machine learning, you just pick a paradigm. You say, well, this data, for this data, I'm going to use this particular paradigm to maximum entropy or so, or deep net. Especially with deep nets, it's really crazy, right? Because you have all these variables inside that these weights that need to be tuned. Right, you start with a random net and you're going to tune it with positive and negative examples repeatedly, right? And so you have very little control over how these individual weights are determined, except by feeding in the right data and more of it, or less and less of it. So if your data is screwed, these weights are all going to be screwed. Yes, in machine learning, and a lot of people don't know that. And so, however, right, the problem there is that it's not that it's going to be screwed. The problem there is that as long as you have data that does not have a uniform distribution, as long as it has a modality that is non-uniform at the point of the target, meaning that this is the desirable behavior from the system, right? When the car approaches this place, it needs to turn left. Okay, that is a desire. So we're going to train it with lots and lots of data, and eventually it happens. But where the good machine learning engineer differs from a bad machine learning engineer is a person who has actually mastered big O notation, this kind of bugs, structural bugs even. Now he's looking at data bugs.
This is a reminder. Check the model name.
Alexa, stop. What was I saying? Oh, damn, I completely forgot. So these bugs, right? The data bugs. As long as it's modal, as long as the distribution is modal, the neural net will converge to it, hopefully, right? At some point, maybe it takes a huge amount of data and a very, very long time, right? But it will converge. If there's a mode, some configuration will converge at, some subset of data, but it's going to take so much more. The reason I mention this is because even a bad machine learning engineer can give you a working model, provided there's enough data. But the problem is, but the good machine learning engineer can give you the same model without so much data, because they'll just look at the data and say, well, most of this is unusable, right? It'll be fitting incorrect parameters inside of the net. It's going to fit these weights that are going to be, right? And then there's so much noise here in the data. If you don't weed it out, then it's going to, change the weights in this direction. And I need much more positive examples to sway it back here. So it needs to settle here. Yes, all these considerations. So if you have bad data, it's not that you're not going to get the model, you just need more of it. Just like if you have a bad algorithm, right? So stepping back one, say it's all very symmetric and beautiful, isn't it? If you have a bad algorithm, it's not like you're not going to get the solution. You'll get the solution, but you'll just waste a lot of time getting it. So it's exactly the same. And so that is why I think that the big O notation and program complexities and the intuitions about this, it is totally worth it. Okay, never ever rush this thinking I'm on my way to become this, a rock star machine learning data scientist, right? Who's going to create these waves in the world. So I need to get past this really fast. You'll never do that. So, but if you get a really solid intuition, nobody needs to stick with you beyond that. You'll just learn everything on your own. And that is my take on this. I don't know, it just occurred to me that, this is that other class, and with Nate bringing up that, this one more level, but I think, right, fortunately, a lot of that can be shouldered by the product manager or the product team anyway. But yes, I think those are the 5 levels.
Professor, I need to go, but I sent you a message with my weekly update and everything. And
I'm so sorry, Ben.
Oh no, you're all good.
You should have just cut me off, okay? Anytime.
No,
why don't you go now?
Really...
I'm going to shut up, and why don't we go now, starting from Ben? Let's just do this usual thing, all right? I want to say this one thing about Mandar and Riley's posts. I'm not going to comment on this, and I do want to, these are really interesting posts with lots and lots of juicy discussion. I don't want to, hey Mandar, I don't want you to think that I'm ignoring this interesting question. I want to give all the other students a chance to bite into it.
Yeah, I got it.
If at the end of the quarter, right, end of the quarter, let's say no one has proposed a solution and I haven't, just remind me and I'll absolutely dig into it, right? Because I should be able to print a 9x22 and see what the hell is going on.
Yeah,
Thank you. Hey, other people should basically chime in. I don't know what the hell is going on there, right? So you guys figure out. I'd be interested to know. Thank you, Ben. All right, all you guys, right? It's yours now. Thanks.
Yeah, no, I actually like your talk. So it's like I said in my chat message.
This is more important.
I come here for a class meeting, but I leave with a life lesson. So
no, we can do that later. Let's do this first, okay? And then we can do that later.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, not much on my end. Last week I was pretty busy because it was the ends of midterm week, and I had like 3 midterms in 1 week, so I didn't get that much done. And so this week is Foothill midterm. Pretty excited for that. And this is the only Foothill class I have, so just revving up and catching up. Bye, everyone. Great to see you all again.
Thanks, Ben. Mandar, you can go, yeah.
Okay, hey, everyone. I think in the past few weeks, I had a lot of downtime from work, so I focused on finishing as many quests as possible. So I finished quest, I'm on quest 8 right now. I think quest 5, I learned about exceptions, which was nice. And then on the 6th quest, it was a really interesting quest where I learned about virtual functions and constructors and destructors. I think that exposed me to the strength of the object-oriented programming language, where you can you don't have to redo the work that you've already done, and you can just define one parent class, and then the other class can inherit from them the properties, and then in fact also have some unique properties of their own, which was interesting. And then quest 7, I learned about queues and how you can create a template class, which was interesting. And right now I'm on quest 8 and also going to be preparing for the midterm coming up next week, and also keeping an eye out on the Reddit posts if I can help anybody. That'd be awesome.
This week, isn't it? Is it next week or this week?
Oh, this week. Sorry, I may have misspoken there. Thanks.
Anne, you guys can just go, right? If it's silent, someone can just grab it too. That's fine.
Okay. Yeah. So got through quest 3, Mina or Mina. That was pretty fun because I had already done like something similar in Java, but I hadn't done it in C++, and that was interesting. Haven't gotten into like quest 4 yet. I'm super slammed at work, but I am looking forward to it. I hear very fun things.
Quest 4 is only due on Monday. Yes, it's not due this Monday. It's only due next Monday, isn't it? Okay. Yeah. Don't. Midterm is more important. I don't think quest 4 topics are necessary for the midterm. Okay, so you don't have to. However, you need to go over all the previous quests, because all the previous quests 1, 2, 3, they have concepts, and so you can discuss those concepts and try to understand why each of those things were done in the quests, and that will nail down the concepts rather than looking at the book and saying I need to understand, bitwise this. That doesn't work. But if you look at your quest and say, hey, why are we doing this? And someone explains, you'll know exactly why, how bitwise works. Okay, so that's a much better way of learning these concepts. Don't go into the forest and look at trees. And yeah, all right, start next week.
I was thinking about, because but I was like worried it would be like, oh, you don't understand the concept well enough. Because even though you complete
well, even then,
why do we do it?
So it's okay, Anne. Even if you don't understand, what the hell, who cares? I don't care. Yeah, you can ask. Even you can ask, hey, well, how do I add 2 to 2? Even that's a valid question, right? So I'd say, let's move it to cs2a and building blocks maybe, or something like that. But it's a valid question as long as it's not a disingenuous question, right? I'm obviously not saying 2 + 2, right? But if you ask a question that is sincere and asked in good faith, I don't see any reason to remove it or play around with it. So perfectly fine. Yeah. In fact, people should feel free to ask. And again, I said, right, these are the employees that hiring managers also prefer. Vocal ones who don't feel embarrassed about owning up to saying, oh, not owning up, right? Who don't feel bad or embarrassed about their image and saying, well, I can't say that I don't know this or I didn't do this. I'm going to wait until I finish it before I get back to my manager because he'll think I'm a dumbass. Those are the employees that managers don't like, right? Because managers like people who say, oh, I can't do it. Can you tell me how to do it? Yeah, that's much better. And so those are the people who can get easy jobs. So even in interviews, right? People say, when you have a question, actually what I'm looking for is not whether they know the answer, but whether when they get stuck there, they're, comfortable enough to ask, hey, I'm stuck here. What the hell is going on? Yeah, and that is actually a much better teammate as well, you'll find, right? Even because you're going to hire someone, you're going to put them in a team, you got to make sure that, they don't sour up the whole team. So you got to make sure that everybody is good and happy. So yeah, thank you. Feel free, totally free. Okay, any question you want, just choose the right Reddit, and I'll move it or give you instructions, or you can move it yourself. But feel free to ask anything you want. We have levels all the way through. Sorry, and thanks.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. Hey, Turkey, you can go next, and then Walter. Anybody? Hey, Jason, you have to go to a class.
No. So I got exposed to COVID, so I have as much free time.
All right. Okay. All right. Cool. Okay. So he's in quarantine or something. Okay.
Okay. So far this week, I managed to finish in Quest 3. It was very interesting when it comes to understanding the concept of parents and how you can sandwich some of it with the extreme bit. And I started the Quest 4 today. I'm looking at it, and it seems like there are a lot of nods and linking and pointing. It will be very interesting. I'm wondering, like, if it's going to be almost the same as the first concept when we got for Quest 1 and Quest 2 when it comes to pointers, maybe just with different approach in that one. Yeah, that's it.
Thanks. You keep going. You don't wait for me. Walter, yeah. Can you guys see the order? or someone else should just grab it, whoever's free.
I don't think the order is ever going to be consistent for everybody.
Yeah, anyone who hasn't gone, just go.
Yeah, I can start though. So I just finished Quest 4 recently. I'm gonna start Quest 5 this week. Quest 4 was fun for me just because I've always sort of known about recursion, but before it seemed more of a novelty and cool, sort of a cool thing. But in the trees, you sort of start looking at mini quests and you go, oh, I have to do all these things. It's gonna be super complicated. And then when you apply recursion, it ends up being much more simple than you think. And it was just kind of cool. It felt like I was actually applying it more instead of just, you know, figuring out these cool little things with it. So I enjoyed Quest 4 for that reason, even though it was a bit tricky. But yeah, it was fun to be able to work with recursion in a more applicative way.
Jason. Well, it looks like I'm going to have to call you guys out. Jason, you want to go?
So, I was last week. I was making a decent amount of progress, but I also had finals for high school because I'm still in high school. Yeah, I know it sucks. So basically, I ended up having to go into quarantine, and that gave me plenty of time to do Quest 3 and to start on Quest 4. So I've been doing that, and I've just been working on that, plus a couple of side projects for random stuff that I've been procrastinating on.
Thank you, Jace. Riley?
Oh, yeah, so I finished Quest 4 this week. I thought it was due today, so I'll actually have some more time. There was a few mini quests I didn't get to, so I guess I'll have another week for that.
Is it due today?
I don't know. You mentioned that.
I thought it was due on Monday.
I thought it was due today.
I'll make it due on Monday. Don't. Yeah, everybody.
Either way, I was like 90% done with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll either work on, well, mostly studying for the midterm this week, but I'll finish up Quest 4.
Don't finish up Quest 4. Just wait until Thursday. Yeah. Just, do it on Friday after you take the midterm, sometime on Thursday maybe.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Gerald.
Yeah, so for this week, it's actually pretty busy for me. I haven't done the Quest 4 module. I'm in Quest 4 at all. Haven't touched it. I've just been reviewing for the midterm, and I have a couple of quizzes as well from my other class, and speech actually due this week. So this week is very busy for me. I'll try to finish Quest 4 next week, Monday. If I don't, then I don't know. Quite busy too this week. Yeah, that's about it.
Ronaldo?
I finished Quest 6 maybe a week ago. Since then, I've been dedicating myself to projects in the other classes that I take, other programming classes. About 3 days ago, I started Quest 7, spent the first 2 days reading about templates and template classes, template functions, and started coding today, basically. Quest 7, I think I'm halfway done.
Thanks. Nate?
Yep. So last week I had quite a bit of trouble with Quest 3. Made it far enough to get the password thanks to the help of others in the class. I really appreciate that. Quest 4 was mostly simple. The two really big things that I was having trouble with is applying recursion properly and defining those base cases. I must have spent 6 hours just running into seg faults to no end. It was rough. But getting past that and then like really knowing how that recursion works and apply it to using the assignment operator, and once that all fell into place, it came pretty quickly, so that was nice. There was a problem. Well, I don't want to say problem, but the final function, the special config, that had some weirdness to it that I can't quite explain. I had to spend some time kind of tweaking that manually to get it to work right. So I might have to revisit this and figure something out later. I haven't looked at Quest 5 yet, but I should do that in the next couple days after I'm finished with other coursework.
We'll probably talk about Quest 4, most of you guys, next week, I think on Monday. As you wrap it up, that's when you'll have a better understanding of what you overcame. So yeah, thank you. Yeah, and keep that in perspective in mind. Okay, everything people are talking about Quest 4 now, only do it after Thursday afternoon when you finish the midterm. Until then, just focus on the midterm. Hey, Jian, you want to go next? Thank you, Nate.
Yeah, sure. So I was working on Quest 3 and still working on it and looking to finish in 1 or 2 days. And I was also studying for midterm. There was one website that helped me a lot. I pasted it into the chat. And I think I'd be studying for the midterm before Thursday. And yeah, that's my plan.
George?
I'm almost done with Quest 3. I think I'm 1 mini quest off. So I'll be looking to study the midterm this week and most of Quest 4.
Soon?
Yeah, I finished until the password for Quest 3 last Friday, and I kind of stopped there.
Hey, you're frozen.
Because I thought it was due last week. Oh,
your audio is
can you hear me now? Oh, yeah. Sorry, my internet is quite erratic. Yeah, so I finished Quest 3 last Friday. And put on Quest 4, but I think I'm just going to study for the midterm.
Thank you, Sean. Evelyn?
I'm kind of behind, but I'm on Quest 2 and I'm struggling to get through the cache part. But I'll try to finish Quest 3 before midterm.
Everyone can have until Friday Friday night for the Quest 3. Okay, so until Quest 4, you can work on Quest 3 until Friday. But doesn't mean you have to. But you have to work on it now because it's going to be needed for the midterm. The concepts that we cover. So don't put it off until Friday. You should put off Quest 4 and so on after Friday. But certainly, Quest 3 you should not put it off. But it won't be due. So don't worry that you have. Don't stress out saying I have to finish this as well as study from. No, you have to finish it. Yes, but it's going to help you get points for the midterm also. That is the perspective, I think. So thank you, Evelyn. So don't worry. Okay, nobody's behind. Usually, many students in 2B, also in 2C, slower to get started. But once they get started, they're basically swimming at the same speed as most other people. Right, so you'll catch up, but it's just what's going on really. If you what is actually going on is that you are just all the effort you think because I'm putting in so much work, basically just backfilling. You're filling in all the stuff that you already should have by the time you come into this class. Yes. So that's what's going on. That's why you think, oh my gosh, there's so much work. I don't have time. I have to do this. No, that's why I said, do 2A in your spare time before you even enroll. You don't have to do this. Already, right? If you started with just the green quest on day 1, you'd be a whole lot more further up without stress right now. A lot of you wasted for 1 or 2 weeks working on the blue quests. Not wasted, it's all backfilling, but still, you still need some more experience to cement up that thing. That's why it's taking a bit more time. So don't worry, okay? Alexa, add 10 minutes. 10 minutes added. So yeah, don't worry, okay? If you're working on quests, I will give you all the extensions you need to complete it. As long as you started and you have a progress like Jason, right? So if the only people who don't get extensions are the people who just start all of a sudden one day, right? Late into the quarter and say, well, those people don't get extensions. But if you've been putting in an honest effort, I have absolutely no problem. That's what I told my 2A students too. Same with blue. And I think it'll be the same case with 2C also. if you've been working hard and putting in a decent effort and helping your classmates, I have absolutely no issues with giving you all the extensions you need in order for you to be able to complete all of the 9 quests and get a good grade if that's important to you before the end of the quarter, the last day, the Monday after the final exam. I'm willing to take quests until then if you're, if you really want to learn the stuff, because, this is what I think. I've hired people, I've looked at resumes and all these things, but today, if I had to make a reasoned decision regarding candidates, and I had 2 candidates, one of them who's gone to fancy colleges and so on, the other one who has basically just aced all 9 quests, and I've been looking at their code from blue all the way until the end of red. I won't read the resume. I don't care, right? If I need a hire and someone has actually gone all the way to cs2c quest 9 and done a fantastic participation, has got a fantastic, knowledge demonstration record and read it, that's enough for me. I don't care about your credentials at all. How many years of experience even, right? So that's what I mean. So if you look at it from that perspective, what I mean is that it's not just for me, because maybe I'm not hiring, right? So, but what I mean is that you will be set up to be a proper employee anywhere. So you don't have to look at that as a waypoint in order to get credentials to get employed somewhere, right? When you've reached that point, you'll be confident enough to apply for any damn person, any person. And then, then you'll be surprised. If you don't get jobs, you'll be surprised you don't get a job, because you go to an interview, you already know all the stuff, right? And you say, hey, you're going to be interesting. You're going to talk about interesting things. You're going to get your fellow interviewers jazzed up, and they're going. And when you leave, they're going to think, oh my gosh, I really wish that guy was, one of us, because that's the taste you want to leave when you go to an interview. You have to jazz them up and say, well, make them feel excited, tantalize them. And you won't have that opportunity if you don't ace all of this. And so I'm saying, just do all of this and you'll be totally set up. Don't worry too much about, getting a piece of paper and using that to achieve some other goal that is maybe 2 years down the line in order to do something else. But if you master all of this, you don't need to do a data science degree. Well, obviously you need to, but you don't have to go to a college to do that, because once you have a solid intuition about complexity and economy of CPU cycles, economy of thought, economy of space, it's all the same calculus. Okay. Once you have a solid intuition about that, you don't need to go to a college. Well, you can. It's nice also to go to a college because you have classmates and projects and stuff to work on and fun, right? But if you don't have the money, you don't have to. You can basically all of the best journals out there, all of the best research, it's all on the internet. You can follow everything, tip of your fingers. You don't need anyone as well. But getting that intuition is hard, but you will get that intuition. I can guarantee if you just go all the way through systematically and nail every single concept, because I am confident I have covered every single concept that I have ever wished in my long career that every single software engineer had. So, and stuff that wasn't important, I kind of left out. This is in the CID in the state requirement, but I'm sure you'll pick up some point, right? So, but this stuff, if you learn, I can hire you with my eyes closed. If I had a job rec, that is, right? So that's what I mean. So don't treat it as, something to get past. And I think that is probably one of the reasons why people feel, reluctant to make major progress here, because they have so many competing interests and they have to do all these things. They say, oh, I got to play polo, I got to do this, otherwise I won't get into this place. Yeah, so too many competing interests. But if you put this in the right priority, you will see that it actually helps you a great deal. Okay, so that's just my 2 cents. Maybe false, maybe true, right? So take it with a grain of salt. But that's what I feel. Okay, so thank you so much, Evelyn. Like I said, feel free. Any question at all. If it's a sincere question, everybody will be happy to answer that, right? Including me. Simchi, you want to go?
Yeah. Okay. So I basically just done quest 3 several days ago, and it was kind of painful for me because I'm not that clear with cellular automata. So I go through the models like a bunch of times just to make sure that I understand how it works. So yeah, just make sure you understand how cellular automata work before you start working on programming. And I haven't done quest 4 yet. I just go through a very rough view on the stack, but I've done some recursion in Java before, so I hope this won't be a big problem for me. Yeah, I'm gonna work it in Friday maybe after exam. Yeah, so far that's all.
Thanks, Sinchi. Beckett, is your microphone working now?
Is it?
Oh, I can hear you. Hey. All right. Okay, cool.
Oh man. So I thought I was super behind because I thought 4 was due today. So I was like ready to put in double time this week, but I am so happy I don't have to.
No. Now put in double time, but put it on your midterm and other things.
Yeah, I'll put double time in the midterm. Man. Yeah, so I was just like throwing my head against the wall last night trying to crack quest 4. I'm just bad at recursion, like I got Hanoi, just pure luck on that recursion.
No, nobody's bad at recursion. I don't think. Okay. I don't think nobody's bad at anything. I don't think anybody's that bad at anything. It's just that you haven't been used to it so far. But once you use it a few times, it'll just be second nature. You won't be thinking about it because you only need 2 things. Many people confuse recursion and they are jittery because they think that, oh my gosh, if I recurse, it can potentially handle infinite size data sets, right? Because you do that and right. And so that is enough to, be off-putting to any reasonable person because, you're because I know young people, they're very, very scared to make tiny changes if they fear that that tiny change is going to result in a huge repercussion. That is probably the reason why many people are also very, very cautious in college with their life too. And they have to be cautious, but cautious in the right things. Because they fear that if they make one wrong move, their whole life is spoiled. Okay, it's not like that. Well, there are certain wrong moves you shouldn't make, but it's actually useful to know which the wrong moves are so you don't go there. But there's a lot of moves that you think are wrong, but they're actually right moves. You could actually make these moves and still be successful and happy. And recursion is like that. And it's very natural, like the young student, to feel that as soon as you encounter recursion, oh my gosh, I can't handle it because, with loops, I know 100 times, 5,000 times, I have a limit and I'll know it's going to end. But recursion, I don't know when it's going to end. Yes. So this is the way to get comfortable with recursion. They're just like loops. They have 2 endpoints. The reason people are uncomfortable with recursion is because they can see the starting endpoint, which is a basis case. They can see the end, but they can see the starting endpoint, which is invocation, but they can't see the ending endpoint. It's out there in infinite space. And that basically throws a lot of people off. You don't even want to deal. So the way to initially trick your mind to say that's not true, it's actually not true, right? Is because it actually has a very firm, clear delimitation on both sides. One is when you invoke it. The other is when the basis case is hit. So all we need to make sure is that there are only 2 ways to leave this room. All right. And I have sentries posted on both of those doors. Mm-hmm. That's the only thing. Once you have that assurance, you won't be scared of recursion, right? You'll just use it as another tool. It's just like getting familiar with one more Lego block, right? While loops, control structures, and so on and so forth. Recursion is a logical control structure. It's not a syntactic control structure. It's actually a logical control structure. Well, it's a for loops too, right? It's on the border, but recursion is highly a logical. So once you get, that is a very important control structure to master, because it's going to be like this universal joint that builders use, right? You stick it anywhere and you can, it's like this duct tape. Yes, duct tape. Yeah. You can just do anything with duct tape. So recursion is a useful tool to have. A lot of people don't master it, and therefore they spend their lives driving weaker beasts. Okay, so if you drive a stronger beast, like a V8 engine or something like that, how to do these tight corners with it, then you can basically drive a Toyota, right, anywhere you want. Okay, so like that. And so yeah, recursion, you don't have to you don't have to tell it to me, right? I know how scary it was the very first time.
No, I mean, I'm not scared, like I'm doing
it's
engineering
not
because I like dicking around. It's just like when I'm screwing around with the recursion, it feels like 90% of the alterations I make are just incorrect. And the only thing I can do is just screw around until I understand what a good kind of
I think that's the best strategy. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think that's also the best strategy. The only way is to basically just get stuck in all the dark alleys and say, I'm not going there. So you know where they are.
Yeah. Exactly.
Alexa, add 15 minutes. I forgot what the timer was for.
Hi, Professor. Sorry for interrupting. I have a class at 2. I'm already late.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Tim was the last person, and you can go, right. Tim. And after that, you guys can break out into breakout rooms, or you can carry on your own discussion, and I will take off.
All right. Thank you, guys. See ya.
Thank you, Gerald. Yeah, Tim.
Yeah, so I've just finished quest 3 Tuesday before, so I'm about to start quest 4, but I got a couple
Alexa,
of
stop.
term this week, so maybe I just focus on my study first, and then yeah, hopefully start working on my quest for this Friday.
Great. That's fantastic. A fantastic update. I think you're all about the place that you would feel comfortable with to be able to complete all quests by the end of the quarter. This is because next week, if you start quest 4, and then you have some easy quests and one hard quest for the rest of the quarter, yeah, I think you're good. And don't be disheartened if you spend a lot of time in quest 4. Okay, quest 4 is hard, and you do need to spend, because if you just go right through and solve all the mini quests in quest 4, then you should be concerned, right? Oh my gosh, did I actually discover all the dark alleys here? Did I miss a few? Right? No, you have to go back then and find out all the dark alleys in quest 4. Otherwise, and find out where they are. Otherwise, you could get bitten later. So, all right. Thank you all very much for this update. I'm actually looking forward to this update. These updates next week. What we'll do is let's do it the way that Ben suggested. I'd like to start with your updates first. Okay, let's let that go on, because some people have to drop off and all. And at the end of class, if there's some need for me to weigh in on any concept or topic, I'm happy to talk. But let's just start with you guys, and that way you'll also have a good feel for where each of you is, so you can ask questions. But regardless, you should not use this video, right? You just ask in the forums, help each other out. Don't look at the past subreddit posts. I don't think they're helping anyone. I don't think the past subreddit is helping anyone at all. And but I can't delete them, because you want to have them as a record of what you've done. So I can't delete someone else's post, some fantastic post from before. So they should be there for as a record. And you should use the past subreddit post as a victory lap after you've aced a quest, or after you've popped it. Even after you popped it, you want to ace it to get the last few trophies, which are extra credit. Then you can go to the past and say, well, how do I do that? Or you can go to the past and pick up interesting discussions. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, just clear of it. I don't think it's helping you. I don't think it's helping. If I were in your shoes, I don't think it'll help me. Because it's like saying, it's like putting a bunch of, putting a ice cream right next to a kid and asking them not to eat it. Yeah, it's well, and so it's like that. The solutions are right next to you, and you have a problem.
Well,
now so I'm inflicting a punishment on you, saying, well, it's right next to you, but you cannot look at it. So, but unfortunately, I have to do that. Next quarter onwards, I'll just we'll formalize it. Thanks.
There's some pretty valuable knowledge in there. Like I didn't know the first thing to do about the memory leak issue with your output on the website until I went to the Reddit. Because
no, but don't. I'm pretty sure. Hey, but Bucket, I'm pretty sure if you ask that question instead of going to the past,
no, I meant documentation on what the output means, because I don't know what program it is outside of what people have found within the purview.
No. But I'm saying even then, what if they didn't exist? You would post a question and someone here, one of your classmates would have answered it, yes, or one of or one of the tutors or me, someone would get to it. None of us is going to point you at, hey, your answer has been 3 quarters ago. This is the post. Here's a link, right? Let me thank you for Becca, because I want to make that also in the syllabus of note that saying if you make a post saying, oh yeah, I'm not going to add to some excellent comments left here and a link to the past, or your question has been answered here, I linked those kinds of questions, I think I should also delete those. So that way, someone like Beckett would ask a question and one of you would say, here's the answer, but from me, not from some oracle in the past. I think that will work. We'll give that a shot, all right, next quarter. But starting now, even though it's not in the syllabus, I think you guys can experiment with that strategy and see if it works. And if it does, we'll just carry it on, formalize it next quarter.
What can we expect from the midterm? Like what's
exactly
the
like
kind of format?
You've got 3 questions in the practice test, yes?
There's a practice test?
Oh, yeah, I think there's a practice. And Anne shared a link, or I think Armand shared a link, and then Anne, or one of them. So
yeah, I can give you. It was oddly convenient to find after I think Armand gave me.
Not a big deal. There's only 3 questions, and it's drawn from a pool of 4 questions. And the idea there is just to give you a feel for the format. And it's all multi-choice. No, not all objective. Some multi-choice, some fill in the blanks, some multiple correct answers. You got to check all the boxes. Things like that, but everything that can be graded by a system. So you'll get your score immediately. I can make it so that.
Is it under quizzes in the Canvas?
It'll be under quizzes, and it'll actually open up under your homepage also on the day. But it's under quizzes for sure. Do you see it?
Yeah, I see it now. There was no notification or anything else. I just didn't know it existed. So thank you.
Yeah, I think that's basically yeah, just 3-4 questions just for the format. As for the material, this look at the thread that Anne started, and then make sure that chaining methods, inheritance, okay, and how do you chain a constructor when you inherit from a superclass and create a subclass, and this constructor needs to invoke that constructor. So you chain back, yes, and say, well, after you have made that object, I want to add more to that object. So that is called chaining a constructor. So so chaining a constructor, just find out how it works. Very simple syntactic, convention there. Likewise, you can also find out how to override methods. And I don't know, polymorphism. I don't know if polymorphism is not covered in the midterm. Right? That can wait until the second half of the class, the course. So, but chaining of methods and constructor inheritance, that's very, very important. I'm pretty sure there's at least 5 points there. It's easy and important. Okay, it's not like pointers and important. It's open book. I would prefer if you don't have to refer to the book too often. And it's also open IDE, I think. I would prefer that you never use the IDE during the midterm. Because if you use the IDE, chances are you'll miss some critical values or introduce an error of your own and you get the wrong answer. And some of the answers are misleading enough to match with your wrong answers. So don't use an IDE unless you're dead sure. And if you have to make sure that you typed exactly the same thing, you're going to waste so much time that you won't have time to finish up the class, the whole test. So yeah, so don't use an IDE, run all the code. That's why I'm saying the questing is going to be so helpful for you, because when you quest, you get in the habit of just running code in your head. And running code in your head is the skill that everybody wants, not just the question system, not just the midterm, but also your future employers. They all want people who can just run, fragments, sizable fragments of code in their head, not just 1 or 2 lines. So and see what the hell is going to happen there. So,
Professor, may I ask a question about inheritance and
about what?
Inheritance.
Inheritance.
And the midterm, right? So one thing that we didn't use much in the quests, but is covered lengthily in the book, is when something is private and you inherit as public, or when something is public and you inherit as private, and all those combinations of private functions and private variables and how they get affected when you inherit them and what access you have to them. So is this something we should, double check, review it for the midterm?
Here's what I would suggest. Thank you for bringing up that very important question. Here's what I would suggest. It's okay to have an open reference, because there is a reference out there you can pull up very easily on a Google search that says, scoping rules or precedence rules for C++. Because strangely enough, the more expertise you get, the more of these you forget. And then you have to have a reference on your wall or near you, and perfectly fine to do that. And if you keep using that repeatedly, you won't have to look up the reference. But most people don't have to use that so often.
Here's a reminder. Check the bread.
Alexa, stop the reminder. Yeah. So does that make sense? Is everybody okay with this? Thanks, Ronaldo. That was a good question. Yeah. There might be 1 or 2 points. Yeah, to answer all those questions, there might be 1 or 2 points, but it shouldn't be questions that you cannot answer by just looking up a reference on another window. Yeah.
I have another question. I'm assuming there will be some recursion on the midterm. In terms of that, I just have a question. Will it be more questions will be based around recursion or itself, or will be more applying it and like seeing?
No, concepts. It might give you a fragment, or it might give you a recursive function and say what's a problem with it. Maybe it's a 10-line recursive function.
Okay.
And you have to run your head and say, well, does it have outs? Does it have doors? Right? Is there a way to get out once you get in? Right?
Okay.
Those are the kinds of checks you'll have to run in your mind.
Yeah.
Because as you can see, there's no way you can actually copy it and run all the test cases in like 1 hour.
Yeah. So no surprise Tower of Hanoi problems, right?
No. If you have any surprise questions, always, you just send me. If you actually, here's a really nice thing. If you get a question wrong, just email me the corrections. Okay, email me the corrections and say what is the right answer and why you think what your misunderstanding was when you made the first choice, and I'll just give the points back to you. I don't care. I don't want you to get as few points as possible. I want you to know as much as possible, right? So, I'm using the points as payment, right? So whenever you find out, I'll pay you for it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Everybody okay? Do you guys want to talk amongst yourself? I'm happy. I don't have to, I just need to do some things around here, but I'm happy to leave the Zoom on. It's on recording. It's recording. So we'll get a chance to look at it later if you want to refer to things, but you can help each other if you want, just not with actual code, but concepts perfectly fine. Do you want me to turn around and turn the laptop around? You guys can talk for about 10 or 15 minutes and slowly drop off. If there's nobody here, Walter or someone can just call me and say, switch it off, and I'm happy to do that. Is that okay? All right.
Alexa, give everyone an A.
Thank you all. Thank you all for coming and updating me, and it's been great. I'm enjoying you guys. Okay, so I hope I have you for another quarter too. All right, thank you all. Continue with this conversation. Bye. Because if there's silence, also I can come and switch it off, right? So you guys have to be talking, so I know something's happening.
Okay, guys, that was worth a shot. Y'all should totally ask more questions on the subreddit. I'm lonely over there.
Yeah, Jason, you seem to do a couple questions a day. It's great though. I mean, I always love reading your questions because it makes me sort of go back and go, hold on, did I really understand that? And so I appreciate you posting so much. It's really helpful.
Yeah, like I'm sorting my flares, and all the recent questions are mine. Like especially for hair, because I did I think 8 or 9 questions on that one specifically. Yeah, it was just I was looking for because I was looking for if other people had questions on that, and it was only me.
Yeah.
For 90% of it.
Yeah, I think a lot of the Reddit right now is just sort of debugging, which can be a bit difficult sometimes just because obviously we don't have the same code and we did it different ways and we don't want to give away code. So it's kind of like it's weird medium where best you can do is kind of give your advice and then it's up to the person. But yeah, I definitely agree we should do a bit more posting. I'm gonna try to be better at that myself as well.
Yeah, thankfully after this week I basically only have 2 classes, so I'm probably gonna be a lot more active myself because I'm going forward to graduate high school, so I just have to I just have after this week I finished the last final that I'm actually getting credit for.
Yeah.
So yay.
Yeah.
I get to yeah, I'm probably just gonna be doing basically only this.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah.
yay.
I look forward to 5 and 6. Quest 5 and 6 seem to be a bit easier, which would be nice.
Yeah.
Quest 4 was fun, but I caught myself getting stuck a lot of times, which can sort of get rid of some of the motivation. So
Yeah,
ready to.
hopefully I can like I got super confused. I was like, oh wait, this has recursion in it. I'm like, oh no, and then I coded it. I'm like, oh no. uh, I just finished Node in that, so hopefully I can get farther along.
That's funny. For me, it was a bit of the opposite. For me, when I was working, it would be, oh god, I got to figure out how to do this with a for loop, and then sort of realize, oh yeah, I can use recursion. That makes my life a whole lot easier.
Well, yeah, for me it's just like especially at the start, I'm like, okay, what on earth am I supposed to do here? And then I'm like, oh, this is recursion.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the main thing I really got stuck on that was like confusing was specifically like, you know how like for the operators they refer to as equal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got super stuck on that because it has the ampersand in front of it, and that got me super hung up on like what am I supposed to do because that's giving me a compiler error.
Okay. Yeah.
I think I fixed it.
Okay. Yeah.
So yay, one can hope.
Yep. Yeah, I think I'm gonna wait off on Quest 5 just because of the midterm. I think I'm just gonna probably look back on the old quests because Quest 1 and 2, even though they weren't really difficult, I mean it was a while ago, and I definitely want to look over, see if there was anything I missed. But other than that, I think I'm not too worried about it, the midterm. So
I'm still missing a point on one of the mini quests on Quest 3. I'm debating whether I want to go back down that rabbit hole because that thing was like hell, and I do not want to do that.
yeah, so I definitely need to explore the cache stuff more, just because I got by and I figured it out, but I think I was able to do it, but I felt like at some points I didn't understand why I was doing it, which is probably something that will be asked on the midterm. So I definitely need to look over quest. Or sorry, that was quest 2, wasn't it? The cache.
Yeah, cache was 2. 3 was what was 3?
That was
No,
the
don't want to move
generation stuff, right? The rules
was,
and the automata,
that
the
thing.
cellular stuff.
I wrote like the code, and I still don't understand about like I understand conceptually what about half the functions do, and the other half are like I wrote it and I forgot what they did. So
yeah, have you looked at the modules from the questing site?
yeah, but they're not a very interesting read, but like they are helpful.
Yeah, I found it really helpful for the cellular stuff because I did when I was in high school, I did Game of Life, but that was a while ago. But this is a bit different, and so yeah, the module was really good at that. So I'm definitely gonna look over that one. I found that one helpful.
Yeah, I just need to like revisit stuff like. The issue with that I have with specifically C++ is so low level that like because I used to do a lot of Python stuff and that's like my main language right now, and it's so different, and the logic is just weird right now, and I just need to get used to it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I had the luck of doing some work with I was doing some work with Unity, so I was working with a little bit of C#, very basic stuff. So I kind of got introduced before the class started, so I had a bit of luck with that. So I didn't have that weird transitional phase that you're probably going through.
Yeah, like part of for me was that I started using VS Code, and because I hadn't been using that prior to this class, and also prior to 2A, the only C++ or anything related to C that I was doing was Arduino, which is not related closely enough for it to really make sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I have a meeting at 2:30, so I'm gonna go.
All right, I'm gonna get off too.
Professor, I think we're finishing up here.
Yeah, okay, all right. Thank you, Walter. I'll just switch it off now.
Okay.
I'll see you guys on Monday, okay?
Yep.
All right, bye.